Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you are all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and after a number of discussions over these last several days, it does seem like we're going to have a map change here in Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Crossroads hardpoint has for a while now been a little bit suspect. A lot of teams haven't particularly liked it in the professional rotation. It is going to change. Apocalypse, we do believe, is coming in for hardpoint. The other game modes have been a bit of a concern as well. Checkmate Control, not sure that's changing quite as of yet. And Express Search and Destroy, still a question up in the air as of now. Intrigued to take your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoy the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. The CDL finally did confirm this yesterday, that later today sometime, Stage 2 groups are going to be determined. So we talked about exactly how this worked for Stage 1. Effectively, the top two teams, that being FaZe this time and Dallas, get to choose the seedings of the other teams that go in the opposing pool, effectively. So FaZe are going to choose the team that goes into Dallas's pool. You're imagining they're going to choose OpTic. A lot of people still consider OpTic to be a top 3 team. Then again, they may even think that actually Subliners is better than OpTic and maybe a better matchup against Dallas, even though then again they went Gay 5 round 11. So if I'm FaZe, I'm putting OpTic in at Dallas's pool. I think that's kind of a no-brainer. But then that means that Dallas are probably going to put New York in our pool, and then it kind of goes back and forth between all the teams until the groups are determined. So going to be different groups from last time round if you guys were unfamiliar with exactly how the format goes. As Clay says kind of finally, gosh, you made our group FaZe, FaZe, Dallas, OpTic, LAT, and Los Angeles Grillers. I doubt that is going to happen. However, it could happen. We'll talk about at the end of the video how it's actually possible that for certain reasons, sometime in the season, teams may actually decide to make a different decision with who they put in the pool, just so maybe they get some sort of seeding advantage. So there could be some tactics that come into play here, but probably not quite as of yet. This is a pretty funny video actually that New York did for Hydra. Now he's finally out to the States. He's talking about how he's so happy to be living in New York. And then of course, as it turns out, he has to move to Texas because that is where the rest of the team are based. But certainly the internet is in a good position over there at the present time. And well, who knows whether he'll actually be called up to the starting lineup at some point. Of course, if the team keeps playing as it is right now, we're imagining that this team's still going to stay as it is for quite some time. But who knows, if they have a difficult stage right here, Hydra could be an option they consider. I mean, of course, many other teams looking at potential consideration for changes. We saw a Toronto Ultra already execute with his methods move, as we looked at yesterday. Crone mentions the following, right, with this scoreboard issue being fixed. If you guys have played League Play lately, you'll know that there's a scoreboard issue. You can't scroll over other players. I saw this, hopped into League Play. Guess what? The issue's still a thing. I don't understand why this is even, like, why does this happen? How does it even happen? How do they say something's fixed without actually testing whether it's fixed in a game? Maybe it was just me, but I mean, as Crone says here, I lied, it isn't fixed after all. So it seems like a lot of people have this issue. Like, how do they possibly say something's fixed and then it's not actually fixed? A lot of people are complaining also, I mean, maybe for good reason, that under League Play, this was the only thing that changed, right? They did this kind of hotfix patch update, but the only thing that changed was the scoreboard in League Play, and they didn't even fix it, right? Compared to some of the other things that they could have fixed, maybe the ranking system and various other issues in League Play right now, but this is the one they go for, and they can't even get the job done, unfortunately, but maybe over time it will indeed happen. So Clay says the following yesterday, yeah, get this out of here. Crossroads, me and all my homies hate Crossroads. So it seems like Crossroads is gone. We talked yesterday about the possibility of, okay, Apocalypse has been tested by the pros. Checkmate was a bit of a concern, I think, for some people, but in terms of hardpoint, Checkmate's okay. Control, it's a little bit questionable. I think they kind of wanted Express Control maybe to be an option over Checkmate, because Garrison is kind of okay for Control. It's not ideal. Raid, of course, is phenomenal, definitely the best map for that game mode, which is a pretty impressive format that was created before Control was even invented as a concept. But yeah, certainly it seems like Crossroads is gone. A number of teams aren't particularly happy with this map. I think Dallas maybe won't be so happy with it going because they seem to be pretty good at it. We did saw recently that Clayster and co on the subliners actually played against OpTic Chicago at this map. Diamondcon was doing the snake head over by the tires over and over again. All that good stuff that we talked about these last few days. Crossroads to play, I don't think is actually so bad. I mean, in League Play and stuff, it's a bit of a mess, to be honest. That new P4 is a bit of a mess. But I don't know, it's kind of a fun map in theory, but as it's kind of turned out for 4v4 competitive, it just doesn't work so well. The way the spawns work hasn't been ideal, and we've seen a number of complaints really over the course of the season. This from Clayster especially, back on the 6th of February, real competitive map right here. We've looked at a few of these such clips really where, the spawns just don't make too much sense. And as Matt Scons at Track says at the time, we'll be moving the hardpoint over to P4, and I think they've been playing with it a little bit this week. And if you guys have been playing it in League Play, it may be somewhat better. It's definitely a bit of a mess though, and I can kind of see why the pros think, look, I mean, look at this map. It's just a small little box. It's very difficult to make the spawns work. It's probably about time that this map leaves the rotation. I'm very intrigued though about Miami Strike, for example, if that's coming into the game over these next couple of days, because a smaller version of Miami without, I imagine without the beach and without some of the, stupid areas that are there for no reason, it actually might work for respawn. And it's also maybe a daytime version as well, and that might actually be better in terms of visibility. So there's certainly some options here that some new maps could come into the rotation. As we said, we're were kind of hoping that Standoff and Slums and some of these other OG maps would have come back at this point. Doesn't seem like that's the case, but Apocalypse maybe is an option as well. So seems like Crossroads is going to be gone. I mean, Tom Gravity says right here, no man, Garrison got to go in all gamers. Drazah also agrees. So not everyone is particularly on board with this Crossroads being out of the map set. And as Rex says, you're going to hate on Crossroads, but did Garrison, Hardpoint Control, or S&D die? That map can go kick rocks. But as Envoy says, like, that map is fine besides Search and Destroy. Search and Destroy is the one on Garrison people kind of want to get rid of. But as he says right here, you know, you get 5+ opportunities to get over at A on Control Point. If you can't make it work, you do not deserve the round win at that point. So most people think, and I think the Crossroads is probably the one that should be going. And well, as we saw yesterday, this is the new Apocalypse map if you guys are unfamiliar with it. I saw the OpTic guys running around this map yesterday coming up with callouts, so certainly seems like it's going to be in the game. And yesterday when they were scrimming, they were not scrimming on at Crossroads, it did appear. So yeah, Crossroads out, Apocalypse in at the present time, it does seem. And well, is this going to be a good change? Who really knows?
If we have pushed out, we just
yeah, I get it.
No, we're not.
We're not playing it?
No.
Oh, bye-bye! Yay! Let's go! Get that shit the fuck out of here!
Personally, I do enjoy changes to the map set like this. I think Apocalypse plays relatively well, so it's okay. But I kind of wished, as I said, I kind of wish there was some other Black Ops 2 maps like Raid that had come back into the game already that we could use. Maybe there will be for Stage 3, Stage 4, whatever. But yeah, hopefully that's the case at some point in the future. But interestingly, right, we've only got a few days till the stage starts. Are the pros in communication with the CDL guys to make this change to the CDL rule set, right? Because if Apocalypse is coming in, Crossroads is out, how long is it going to take for the CDL to be like, okay, yeah, we're totally fine with this, let's make that change in the rule set, and then also update that and roll that out to league play, which is something which maybe isn't going to happen for quite some time, right? This is always a bit of a concern that the pros are actually playing and practicing on these maps, but then you come along to the tournament and the CDL are like, actually, Crossroads is still in the map set, right? You've still got to play it for this week's matches or whatever. I imagine they'll fix that in due course. Fire seems to be pretty happy with Apocalypse coming into the game as well. Dallas Empire also, yes, should Apocalypse be in the CDL right now? So it seems like Crossroads is gone, Checkmate's still here, and yeah, as we said, it doesn't seem like the express control that they trialed out was really too effective for them. They didn't seem to like it too much, which probably means that Checkmate, Garrison, Raid is still going to be the control rotation, but maybe in due course that can change as well over time. This I thought was also interesting yesterday. A couple of guys were pointing out to me, OpTic was scrimming up against the new Toronto Ultra with Insight in the lineup. A couple of guys were mentioning I did get a catch map 1, but it was 41-13. Insight supposedly went on the game number 1, so maybe they were looking pretty good. Especially, I think I watched a few of their maps later on, and they seem to be pretty solid, all things considered, especially given that Toronto had just made this roster change of Insight coming into the team, so fair play. And given we talked about the group selection earlier, I thought there was a few interesting comments here from Clayster. So one of these group selections, I want whoever won to pick the worst team into the other group first to just make it spicy, right? So FaZe 1 right now, pick like Ravens or something and chuck them into Dallas's pool, and then well, give yourself the absolute gauntlet of a pool. And honestly, this could be quite a clever idea at some point strategically, because Saint talks out Chaos as a ladder, but as he says right here, so let's say for example Atlanta wins at the stage 4 major, right, and they're up 10 points on Dallas. Let's just theorize going into the final major, so they obviously want to keep that advantage to get the number 1 seed for the world championship. So what if you're FaZe and you decide instead of putting like, you could put OpTic or whatever into the other pool, instead of doing that, let's say Dallas also came second in that major, just in theory, instead of that they decide to put the lowest ranked team, let's say London or I don't know, Seattle or something, into the other pool, and then London or Seattle then immediately pick Dallas to go into FaZe's pool, right? So then FaZe have a pretty stacked pool. They've got Atlanta and Dallas in there, but at the same time Dallas aren't just going to get free wins against the teams in the other group that Atlanta aren't even in. Therefore, they have to play Atlanta, and then if Atlanta feel pretty confident they can beat Dallas, then they can ensure that Dallas don't get those 10 points. So in theory, you could actually kind of rig your own group in a sense to make it at least harder. You can't rig it to make it easier, but you can rig your group to be harder to maybe give yourself some seeding advantage going forward. So I thought it was an interesting idea from Clayster. I wonder if these kind of tactics and strategies will come into play at any point. Thought this was interesting from Attach as well. I cannot wait for events again. As he says right here, they will be back soon and it is going to be amazing. So yeah, thanks to my guy Nuts Den for pointing this out to me. But so yeah, maybe he's implying that they'll be back sooner than we think. I mean, it seems to me, based on some tweets that we've seen lately, there's certainly been some discussions and conversations going on behind the scenes about how they can make LANs work once again. Is it going to be, how soon is it going to be stage 3 champs, May, or stage 3 major? Maybe in a couple of months' time. Certainly by the World Championship, it's going to be a thing. So maybe in due course, events will be back. I'm sure they're going to be massive when we finally do get to go back to these events. I thought this is interesting as well. leave link down below if you guys would like to check it out. As Crone says right here, as expected, aBeZy is on top. In this piece, basically he's gone through and he's talked about every sensitivity, response curve, button layout, flips claw, field of view, control freak preference for pretty much every player in the league that he can possibly get his hands on. So pretty interesting stuff. Just a quick sample right here as he talks about this is how it is for Scump. So aBeZy that Scump and Dashy both use, the sensitivity they use, response curve, button layout, all this good stuff. So if you'd like to check out what some of the players are using, the link will be down below. I thought it'd be pretty interesting to see. And it's always an interesting discussion as well that a league is sponsored by Scump, but the majority of the players are still using aBeZy controllers. Intrigued to hear your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Do you think this is the right move with Crossroads being gone? Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm to know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always, take care, and I will see you next time.